Stress is something we all face, and I don't know about you, but I find that the first thing that seems to go are any plans I've made for that day. And all that does is lead to more stress later down the line when I realise that I didn't get done the things I intended to do, especially if those things were important. And another thing I find is that I tend to neglect looking after myself and doing things that I enjoy doing. I will just spend all of my time doing something that takes my mind off of everything else. And I know stress isn't something that you can just deal with and stop doing at the click of a finger, but there are some things that we can do to make it a little bit easier for us. One thing I found that has helped a lot is to schedule out my time. I first discovered this from the book Refuse to Choose, which I mentioned in a previous video, and the premise is simple. Depending on how you work, you can either go to a very strict timeline or a more loose one. I prefer a slightly looser schedule because I know that life can come in the way, that things will pop up that you need to deal with in the moment. So the idea is to block out your time into 1 hour, 2 hour, whatever works for you, increments. I initially picked 1 hour because I had so many things I wanted to get done in the day, but then I realised that sometimes I needed more time, so I worked it in so some things were 1 hour and other things I made 2 hours. And I basically just made a list of all the things I wanted to get done that week, scheduled them into order of importance, and then popped them into each day. I made sure that all of the things I'd chosen weren't chores, because I didn't want to just have a day that was full of doing things that I didn't necessarily want to do but had to do. So I'd make sure that the things that were the highest priority would go on each day as needed, but then I'd also include different hobbies and things that I would enjoy as well. So I found as I made that initial list of things I wanted to get done during the week, that there were actually more hobbies I wanted to do than there were chores and things that I needed to get done. Because as I started to think about it, there were lots of things that I hadn't done in a while that I would actually enjoy doing and so wanted to pick back up again. So I made sure to give myself an hour during that week to do them. Obviously that can be quite difficult to do when you're working full time, so for me it was more of a case of the little bit of time I have in the morning, I'd dedicate some time then for hobbies or whatever I wanted to do, and then a little bit of time again in the evening, and the weekend was when I scheduled out the whole day. That was when I could do the hour or 2 hour increments throughout the day, more so than when it was during the week. I found that when doing this, things weren't as bad as they seemed. When initially I thought I had all these things I needed to get done, and so many things and so little time to actually do them, it turned out that when I wrote them down separately and allocated an hour for this, 2 hours for that, there actually wasn't as much as I thought there would be, which was really helpful. It took a lot of stress away from me. I know that this won't be the cure to stress, but it will definitely help to just take that edge off slightly, make it that little bit easier for you to deal with the week, rather than feeling overwhelmed and ending up getting absolutely nothing done, and then just beating yourself up for it afterwards. So when I wrote down and dedicated an hour in the morning each day during the week to do a chore or something that needed to get done, I then also dedicated a bit of time to one of my hobbies, because I like to have that little bit of time in the morning to do something that I enjoy doing, so then I don't start the day before I go to work already working really hard. I have that little bit of time in the morning that's just me time, that's something that I enjoy doing, that I actually want to do, and then I can go and work, because I know that for me evenings are a little bit more fully booked. When I come home I have to cook dinner, I have other things I need to do, preparing for the next day, and I don't have that much time in the evenings, so my mornings are very important for me. That's when I like to have my little bit of me time, my little bit of time to do some research on YouTube, watch a nice video, watch a film, listen to some music, play a game. That's when I have that little bit of time for me. So I made sure to schedule that time in each day, to give myself that hour or hour and a half in the morning before I got ready to go to work. And if there was anything really pressing that needed to be dealt with that morning, then I would do that as well before I went to work. Otherwise I'd push it to the evening, where I know I've got a lot of other things to deal with anyway. And then when it came to weekends, that's when I blocked out my time. So I made sure from 7 o'clock in the morning until 9 o'clock, for example, I'd have that little bit of time to play a game or to watch a documentary or whatever, the same thing I did during the week, because I like that to start the day. And then from 9 till 10, I'd put the washing on, I'd tidy up, that sort of thing, get that out the way, done nice and early. And then from 10 till 12, maybe I'd do another one of my hobbies, because I know it's the weekend, I've worked hard during the week, and I don't want to spend the whole weekend doing a million different things that I have to do. I want to incorporate some things that I want to do as well. And then from 12 till 2, maybe I'd do something else that needed to be done, another chore. From 2 till 3, maybe I'd add in another little hobby. something that I haven't done in a long time that I would like to start doing again. Maybe a bit of cross stitch or paint by numbers or something else. And I'd just block out the time like that. So some things would take me 2 hours, some things I'd leave an hour, depending on what it was, what the chore was, or what the hobby was. Because sometimes you can't get into something in an hour. It takes you time to prep everything you're doing. So by the time you finish prepping ready for the hobby, half an hour's already gone. So something like that, you'd want to make it 2 hours long as opposed to 1, so that you don't feel like you've not enjoyed it to the full amount of time. You've only got 10-15 minutes in before you've got to pack it all away again. I found doing that I got a lot of things done that I hadn't done in a while. A lot of new hobbies and things I was able to find time for, where normally I'd look at my week and think, oh, I don't have enough time for that. I can't do something enjoyable on those days because there's never any time. I'm at work for such a long time. I come home and I've got to cook dinner and then I'm going to bed. There's no time for anything. But when I actually took the time to schedule out what time do I come home from work, how long do I have while dinner's cooking, what am I going to do for dinner, that helped as well, giving myself a meal plan. So I knew that dinner was going to be in the oven for 45 minutes, so I've got that chunk of time. What can I do when I'm not needing to watch dinner? What can I find that I can do in that period of time? And also separating out the weekend so I don't spend 4 hours doing something that really doesn't take that long, or spend half the day playing a game and then realising that I've not done all these other things I wanted to do because I did the game for too long. Maybe if I only spent 1 hour on that game, I'd have 3 other things I could fit into the same period of time. And one of those would be doing something that needed to be done, putting the washing on or hoovering or whatever. That it definitely helped me because I was able to see that I have more time than I think I do. That thinking, oh gosh, I have so many things I need to do, doesn't mean that my whole weekend's going to be wasted. Thinking that I'm going to spend the whole time running errands when actually they might only take an hour and a half out of my day on one day. And then the rest of the time I can do what I'd like to do. It helped me to see that if I use my time wisely, there's a lot more I can fit into it. And I know everybody knows this, it's common knowledge that of course if you use your time wisely you can do a lot more with it, and that scheduling your time can help a lot more, otherwise you end up getting fixated on reading your emails 100 times over or spending far too long on something that really doesn't take that amount of time because you procrastinate or you get sidetracked. You start tidying your desk and you realise actually I'm going to sort through all of my pens to see which ones work, and while I'm at that I may as well go through the drawer upstairs and sort through that too. That when you go, no, I'm only going to tidy my desk now, my pens, I'll sort that for an hour tomorrow whilst I'm watching something that I'm enjoying, a documentary or whatever, then you could do 2 things at once, get something practical done that you need to do, and also do something enjoyable. Or you can go, I don't really need to sort through the pens, that's just something that I wanted to do to pass some time. Instead, whilst I'm watching this documentary, I can be doing something else. Maybe I can be doing cross-stitch or paint by numbers or sorting through my notebooks or whatever. That helps you to be a little bit more careful with your time, that you see that time is precious. We don't have loads of time, but at the same time we don't have no time. We all have the same number of hours in the day, and when you make that list you can see what is important to me. And it also reduces the amount that you're likely to procrastinate, because if you know you've got an hour to do your desk and then you get to go and enjoy yourself by reading a book, then you're more likely to get the desk sorted. You're more likely to do what you need to do because you've got that reward after. It's called gamification, giving yourself a reward for the work you have to put in. It's a really interesting concept that I'd never heard of up until recently, and I think it's really interesting and it can be really helpful. That the way the world works today is that we expect everything instantly. I've heard of the term microwave generation, that everybody expects instantly to get some gratification for the work they've put in. That's how we're wired, that's how we expect things to be, and sadly that's not the case with everything. So if you can give yourself a little bit of an incentive for, I really can't be bothered to tidy my room or hoover the house today, but if I know that after I do this I then get an hour playing my favourite game, reading my favourite book, going and taking myself out for a meal somewhere, if you've got that to look forward to, then you're more likely to want to do it because you know you've got a reward for it. It's working with how we work. that yes, it might not be the best idea in the world to need to have a reward for everything you do, but some things that you just can never be bothered, you're always procrastinating, you always put it off, give yourself that reward. And then over time, you'll see the benefit from actually doing that work. You might not need the reward. It might just be an initial thing. Initially, you need that reward to incentivize you to go and do that chore, but after a while, you do it and you see the benefit of having a tidy bedroom or a clean house. You see how it makes you feel, how you don't then worry about looking around and seeing, oh goodness, all this mess. You can enjoy that you've got a nice, clean, tidy house, and that maybe it didn't take you as long as you thought it would because you didn't drag it out over 2 days because you didn't want to do it. So then you have more time to do your hobbies and things you actually want to do. I just think it's an interesting concept, that there's something that stress can really blow things out of proportion and make you think that they're going to take so much longer than they actually are, where if you write it down, you realise it's only going to take me an hour to do this, it's only going to take 2 hours to do that, and then I've got all this free time to do all these wonderful things that I'd like to do. I've managed to fit in 6 different hobbies in one day. Yeah, stress is one of those things that you're never going to be able to just get rid of, but it is something that you can reduce a little bit with different measures. I know the ones posted mainly on the internet tend to be, have a nice relaxing bath, have a hot drink, but sometimes you need something a little bit more practical. So I just thought that this method might be a little bit helpful. It might help you to see that it's not as worrying as you thought it was initially, that you do have enough time to get everything done that you need to, as well as some things that you'd enjoy doing as well. So yeah, I hope this video was interesting. I hope it helps a little bit, that hopefully you get something useful out of it. I know I tried this a few weeks ago and it really did help me, and then I sort of forgot about it, got a bit focused on other things, but it's definitely something I'm going to start doing on a regular basis. Maybe not every single week or every single day, but I'm definitely going to incorporate this a lot more because it does help me to see that I have more time than I think I do, and I can get everything I need to do as well as the things I want to do at the same time. When you work in a full-time job, it can be easy to think that you don't have any time, that you work from 9 till 5 or whatever, including your commute time. You have a little bit of time in the morning and then you come home and then it's dinner and then it's chill for a bit and then you're straight off to bed. And the weekends you just spend doing all of the stuff you couldn't do during the week. But hopefully this could help you to realise that you still have enough time to do the things you want to do, the things that would be enjoyable, that you'd actually like to do, because we're not here to just work 24/7. That shouldn't be our role on this earth. We weren't put on this earth to just be hamsters in a wheel, running constantly, working and earning money and not actually enjoying anything. Shouldn't have to wait until retirement, because that's miles away for some of us. That it would be nice to be able to do something we'd enjoy, we actually want to do, now, on the weekend, during the week, and hopefully this could be one way that could help a little bit. I know it's not going to solve all of the problems, but if it can make it that little bit easier to just help change your mindset slightly, to think that I can actually do what I want to do, I do have that time, that maybe that can make all the difference. Maybe it can just help even just a little bit right now. So yeah, I hope you found this useful. As always, thank you for your time.